4 June 2020, and overnight, Nelson Chamisa has backed down from his original position. A statement has been put out by the MDC Alliance, which says MPs, senators, and councillors can now go back to parliament. This is a major development, and it's leading us to a position where Nelson Chamisa will likely contest or try to contest in the MDC-T Extraordinary Congress. This is where we're going, and I want to show you quickly how this situation developed. Firstly, you remember that since the 4 MPs, including Wende, Tapita Kumalo, Timvias, and Mtseami, were recalled, the MDC had said they're going to boycott parliament, senate, and council meetings where ZANU-PF are involved. However, stiff resistance from sitting members of parliament, senators, and councillors has forced the MDC Alliance grouping, that is a faction of Nelson Chamisa, to change overnight. And there was a very important development yesterday when Dr. Tapiwa Mashakada wrote a statement or an article saying that the MDC Alliance needs to comply with the Supreme Court ruling. So this was not just anybody speaking. Tapiwa Mashakada is probably the closest person to Nelson Chamisa. He comes from Gutu. That is a homeboy of Nelson Chamisa. When you see him making such a statement, it means he has tried to talk to Chamisa or he has talked to Chamisa. So when I saw that statement, I knew immediately that major changes are coming. So he didn't say MPs must go to parliament. He says the MDC Alliance must comply with the Supreme Court ruling, which means everything the Supreme Court ruling, including the Extraordinary Congress. So the problem that we have is that there is a lot of indecisiveness around the leadership of the MDC Alliance. There are a lot of egos. So they make a decision and they try to justify it. They make a half decision and they try to justify it. So, for example, right now, Tendai Biti had not withdrawn from parliament with his MPs, but he was pushing for the other guys not to attend parliament, was pushing for the MDC Alliance not to comply with the Supreme Court ruling. But himself had not pulled out his MPs. These 4 MPs were going to be sitting still in parliament. Similarly, Washman Khuphe has gone quiet. He was trying to pull in Love More Moyo to confuse the Supreme Court ruling. But they don't want to get out of parliament. That is the truth. No one wants to get out of parliament. And any attempt to make the MPs leave parliament, as I said last week, is going to be met with a revolt, which is what happened yesterday. Similarly, they tried to constitute a parallel 2014 National Council or structures. That didn't work because it does not work at law to create your own interpretation of the rules. If Douglas Monzora has been put there by the Supreme Court, you have to follow him. If Komichi has been put there by the Supreme Court, you have to follow what he says because he's the person in that position. He's been given specific things to do by the Supreme Court. So whatever attempts that the MDC Alliance faction led by Nelson Chamisa is doing, eventually they will realize that if they want to take over, they have to work within the Supreme Court ruling. There's no way that they can do it. Even if you push the media, even if you pay people to produce hundreds of posts and videos, even if one of the biggest video platforms in Zimbabwe is supporting your position, if it is not in line with the Supreme Court ruling, you are still not going to be able to push for change. So this is what they're doing. At the moment, they are continuing to give a brave face and they want to end up in court again. However, this is not going to work. They are going to lose most of the cases. And remember that there's another case coming up on Monday. Tabitha Kumalo's court case is coming up on Monday. The ruling is on Monday. It was heard last week. There's also the case of the 7.5 million, the case that Fadzai Mahere keeps quoting. And I've said that this was an interim order, and it also referred to MDC Alliance, the alliance, not MDC Alliance, their party. This has been explained over and over again. But the grouping that is with Nelson Chamisa, they keep on trying to give a breakfast whereas time is moving. So as we move towards 31 July, when the extraordinary Congress is taking place, we're going to see a big shift. Nelson Chamisa is not going to allow himself to be out of that extraordinary Congress, because the Khuphe side have offered him, as we saw in that Daily News article last week, they've offered that they could do a deal with Nelson Chamisa where he could go in uncontested and take over. The only difference now is that his friends, who is Tendai Biti and Washman Khuphe, they would not be vice presidents. There will be no 3 vice presidents in the MDC. There will be only 1 vice president in the MDC. So there's going to be a change to the 2014 structures. Everything that is not constitutional is not going to be there after the extraordinary Congress. So those 3 vice presidents are going to disappear. Karen Kore is not going to be vice president. She's going to be back to her position. Komichi back to his position. Monzora back to his position. Mudzuri, if he had the position, he's going to be back in that position that he was, but not the vice presidents. So this is a bitter pill to swallow for Nelson Chamisa. This is a massive loss. People in parliament have revolted. They don't want to do what he's saying they must do. So this is a major development. There is a statement here that was issued by Fadzai Mahere. And if the extraordinary Congress goes ahead and Fadzai Mahere is not obviously in the old structures, she won't be in any standing committee if Nelson Chamisa decides to move to MDCT. So she's fighting for a survival. A lot of people, new people in Nelson Chamisa's National Council or National Standing Committee, they are fighting for their survival. So they are getting things a bit clouded because there are special interests here. We're seeing a lot of special interests. So this statement is from Fadzai Mahere. The meeting was held at Harvest House. And the first point in the statement says the MDC Alliance will preserve the existence of the name, constitutions, slogans, and assets of the MDC Alliance. And we all know that the MDC Alliance did not have a constitution when they went to court. We restate that the MDC Alliance is a duly constituted political party and a legal persona in accordance with the provisions of the Electoral Act. We validly contested the 2018 election and fielded a presidential candidate, parliamentary candidates, and local authority candidates in line with the provisions of the constitution and law of Zimbabwe. Right, this is also another crazy statement. You went to court, the court told you that you're not a legal persona, then you write in your statement that you are a legal persona or a political party, but you don't challenge the court ruling. That was the High Court ruling from last week. This is very, very strange. I have never seen anything of this nature. And this is where I say Nelson Chamisa is probably getting some very bad advice from some new people, newcomers, or people who have special interests, who want this thing to continue running until 2023. No individual or quasi-political formation has the right to reverse the will of the people. The MDC Alliance was and is a political party recognized and voted for by the people of Zimbabwe. We maintain that it is unlawful and a misconstruction of reality for any other party to withdraw MDC Alliance MPs from parliament. I think we've already gone through this. Chamisa does not want to move away from the name MDC, and the best way for him to do that would be to go into the extraordinary Congress. But look at the next statement. It is resolved that following consultation with our structures and constituencies, our MPs and councillors are to immediately resume their duties in parliament subject to further review. Any person who were deployed by the party who did not comply with the standing committee resolution to suspend participation in the parliament's activities pending this resolution will be dealt with in accordance with the constitution and due process. This just doesn't work because parliament is now in the hands of the MDCT. So how are you going to discipline people that are now going to be going into an MDCT parliament according to the rules, the ruling of the court, High Court and Supreme Court? So you don't have control. You are giving control to the people that are in parliament. Your chairman has been fired. Your leader of the house has been fired. So there's no way this is in the control of Chamisa. This was a forced position. But this is just grandstanding. Let's go to number 5. The MDC alliance notes with grave concern the continued allegations of state-led corruption implicating senior government officials and their proxies. Right, so I want to deal with this issue of Khuphe Chingono and the information that has been putting out. I'll do that later today or tomorrow. This is just not a related thing regarding a national council. This is not something that I expect from a national council resolution. I think they are mixing issues here. And Chamisa is a very difficult decision to make, but he's not making it. He is dealing with peripheral issues. And at the moment, I think the issue is he is going to lose all his MPs. He has basically admitted and backed down and lost all the MPs. As time goes on, the Monzora grouping is going to have extreme control over those MPs, whether they're going to be re-elected or not, and the people and structures in their constituencies. This is a key point where Nelson Chamisa needs to show leadership. And I think at this particular moment, there's one direction that Nelson Chamisa can move in, which is to go and force his way into that extraordinary Congress somehow, either through negotiation or even challenging his fake dismissal. I don't think Nelson Chamisa was handed that letter of dismissal. I think Nelson Chamisa at this point now needs to go into the extraordinary Congress and win and rediscover and recover his party. That's the only way he can move beyond this point. Anything else is going to hit a brick wall in the courts. Right. I think I've covered this topic enough. Thank you very much for watching. If you're watching this on WhatsApp, send it to as many people as possible. If you're watching this on YouTube and Facebook, please like, comment, and share.